right, guys. So today I have Sam Wilson, which has an amazing podcast. He had me on his podcast on how to scale commercial real estate podcast. Sam has 9 years of successful real estate investing experience in the self-storage, parking, multifamily apartments, single-family homes. His diverse background in business and real estate has allowed him to participate in a variety of asset classes and bring strategic value and meaningful relationships to each opportunity. And welcome, brother. Welcome to Latinos in Real Estate Investing Podcast.
Well, Martin, thank you for having me on. Certainly appreciate it. It was great also having you on the show.
Why don't you share a little bit first about yourself? Because usually I don't do really good justice on the intro.
Grew up in an entrepreneurial family, but also grew up fairly poor. By entrepreneurial, I mean like we all work for ourselves, but didn't really ever make any money. So grew up very poor. And I wouldn't trade that for the world because that is where I learned to work. At a very young age, learned how to go out on job sites with dad in the flooring industry, learned to work. Ended up launching a flooring business of our own. My brother and I, well, he was already doing it. I worked for him all the way through high school. And then when I was 21, we took the company and just blew the doors off of it. And that was where I really learned business and entrepreneurialism and hiring and firing, hiring guys twice my age and being responsible for 30-something employees. It was a lot. Baptism by fire, bought out part of that company when I was 25, sold it when I was 30, went through the downturn, had enough of the trades, had enough of the flooring business, and sold it when I was 30, and then didn't know what to do next. I'm 30 years old. I have no college degree. I've only ever worked for myself. Like, I'm completely unhireable, from a corporate world perspective. Like, hey, so what do you do? Like, I don't know. I go out and figure out ways to make money. Like, what do you mean, what do I do? I don't have a skill set that would translate, and I still don't. It would translate to any corporate environment. Like, it's just completely unhireable. So, and I still would say that. I wouldn't even hire myself today. Like, oh, my golly, be a terrible employee. But that said, I didn't know what to do next. And I would say it was the good Lord having mercy on an idiot. Because we had moved to Tennessee where my wife is from, and I started tracking foreclosures. This is back in 2013. Banks were still unloading a lot of property in 2013.
They were.
And there was nobody buying it. And one day I just happened to be looking at a auction site. And it wasn't even an auction site here in Tennessee. They would list them via the attorneys. And so the attorneys would post on the website, hey, this on their own personal website, these houses are coming up for sale. And here's even the opening bid. I saw a house 2 miles away. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's 2 miles away. I saw the opening bid. I'm like, oh, that's crazy cheap. I drove over there. I found my way into it because it was vacant. It was knee deep in trash. And I'm like, and I'm being in the trades. I said, man, this is a great house. It just needs a lot of love. So 2 hours later, I owned a house, bought it at the courthouse steps, made a pile of money on it. And I said, gosh, if I can do it once, I can just keep doing it. So here we are 10 years later in many iterations, as you could tell from my crazy bio there of all the things that we've gotten involved in. But that's how I cut my teeth in real estate, was buying I bought real estate foreclosures at the auctions at the courthouse steps all the way through 2018.
Wow. So just recent, really recent.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's pushing almost 5 years ago now. Crazy, but that's when I transitioned to commercial. In 2018, which you can show how broken my crystal ball was, I said, man, housing and prices are, they're getting too high, and or the competition is getting so stiff because it's the lowest barrier to entry is a single family home. Not saying it's a bad play, because I think it's, there's still value to be found and extracted there. But I said, there's got to be greener pasture where I'm not duking it out with everybody, because the courthouse steps now were just chock full of people. I used to go to the courthouse and it was just me. I'd go there, there'd be the auction guy, and I'd bid $1 over. We'd sign the paperwork, I'd give them the checks, and I'd go home. Now there's 50 people there, and it's like, okay, now this is just not, this strategy's got to change.
I grew up in New York, and parking is a nightmare, and it's never a question like where we're gonna park. We just know we're gonna pay the $50, $75, $100 for the hour or 2 hours to park our car, so we don't have to worry about the headache. And sometimes I do the math and I look at these parking lots, and I'm like, holy crap. These guys are killing it, man. I'm here for 2 hours. I'm here for 3 hours. I'm going to dinner. I'm going to a Broadway show. I'm doing whatever. And I'm leaving in 3, and they're making $100, $75, right? For a short term. Tell me, how do you get into that business? Tell me about that business. When you say parking, is that what you mean?
It is what I mean. Partnered up with a guy that was in the parking business. He did a lot of brokering, but did also a lot of owned his own lots. And I said, hey, man, I want to learn the parking business from you. He said, okay, cool. Well, here's what you do. And he just said, here's how you go find lots, go find them, and we'll take them down and split them. Like, okay, that's fair enough for me. I do all the work and he gets to tell me if it's a good deal or not. And I get to learn from him along the way, which was an invaluable relationship. I still have an excellent relationship with him today. We did that for a couple of years, so we really didn't actually get our first deal closed until 2019. So I was still doing single family housing. I was trying to figure out the parking business. And then in 2019, got our first deal done. But then 2020 happened. Mm-hmm. So we only had about one good year of finding and acquiring parking lots, and 2020 happened and it killed the parking industry. Oh, I mean, you think who was going to ball games, who was going to nights, night and weekends, who was going to downtown New York, who was going to all these places, and parking. I mean, not even office parking, not airport parking. It was crushed. That's when I had to make a strategic pivot because one, I still want to feed my family. And two, it was just like, there's nothing in the foreseeable future that's going to really make this an attractive investment. It's a cool investment for the right spot. You can, like you said, sometimes you can buy a lot that are just little gold mines, and it still can be found. I'm not saying it's a dead asset class by any means. The amount of effort to acquire just didn't pencil out anymore. It's like, man, we're duking it out and looking at 100 deals and maybe getting one even LOI out the door at most. This doesn't make sense.
Wow, that's a lot of numbers, man. You got to go through a lot of deals. When we talk about real estate, where you bring guys like me on, I bring guys like you on, guys that are actually doing this stuff in the real world, how important is that for a listener, and how important has that been for you in your journey?
Man, I will say this. Early on, I listened to tons and tons and tons of podcasts. Mm-hmm. Hosting a podcast, I quit listening because I get to have the direct interview with people like yourself. Mm-hmm. So in the last 2 years, I've done 740 something interviews.
The last couple of years to do 700 some podcasts, that's a big congratulations.
Yeah,
big deal.
But just the knowledge and the network I have built from on this side of the microphone, mm-hmm. being able to do that's been awesome. But also, I think back, I don't know where I'd be not having been able to listen to guests like yourself for the last 2 years. I've got a whole different business plan and strategy just because and again, listen to my guests while I talk to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been amazing, and that would be top 3 things you can do.
From interviewing that many people, top 3 things you've taken away for you and your business that you can give away to our listeners here.
Wow, this is unscripted, Martin. I wish I had a little time to think about this. So,
shoot it, man. It's going to be the best answer. The one you're going to give is the best answer.
Top 3 things. The team makes all the difference. Mm-hmm. Like who your team is, you can't grow. I think when I think about the name of my show is How to Scale. And it's something that I'm taking very personally to heart because I've been a solopreneur for a long time. I had, like I said, in the flooring business, 30-something employees. And when I got done with that, I said, I don't want more employees. I just don't. And I think I've run solo for a decade, building various co-general partnerships, building teams that way, but no direct employees. And I think the one thing that I've really taken away from everybody that's grown and scaled a successful company is that you got to find good people. And you got to find those good people and put them on your team. And hopefully they're a lot smarter than you are. And so that's been kind of a tough, a growing pain for me is just not growing pain, but a growing lesson. It's like, gosh, Sam, if you actually ever want to really take your business to the next level, you're going to have to bring people on. I'm going to have to find a good operations partner. I'm going to have to find a good acquisitions partner. There's got to be some of these. I can't just farm it out through co-general partnerships anymore, which has been a great way to grow and scale, by the way. I've taken out some really cool assets with some really cool partnerships that are working very well, but it's not where the money is in the long haul. In the long haul, if I'm going to build my own firm, it's got to be with really cool and great team members, and we've seen that and seen it play out really, really well. My phone doesn't ring, maybe once a week.
Gotta love that. That.
And so I think that's the one thing is that if you're gonna scale, you gotta find good team. I'm bringing on an acquisitions guy and swallowing a pretty tough nut in order to do that starting January 1 of 2023. And I'm like, okay, these are the 2 assets we're going after, and you're going to work for me, and that's what we're doing. And that's that's a big move for me because again, I kind of like to ride and run solo just from having previous experience with too many employees, and I don't, so that's number 1. 2 is focus. And that's something I've struggled and suffered. And again, I'm telling you all the things I've done wrong, and that I have paid the price for not selecting and focusing in. And I think that's hard as an entrepreneur, especially as an entrepreneur that grew up without a lot, in the sense that we always assume, at least I do, when you're hungry, everything looks like food. And so it's like,
that's right.
Oh, man, it's a good deal. We got to do that. Yeah, let's go, man. We can make a pile of money on that. Roll. Let's go. And the next thing you know, you're mistaking activity for progress. And that's really, really painful. One guest said it this way. They said, it's not that we say no, it's that we say not yet. I was like, oh, I like that a lot. I think those two are good enough. The top two.
That's powerful. I want to go back kind of to your podcast. I know you and I have talked. There's two types of people. There's extroverts like myself, and then there's introverts. And you had alluded to the fact that you're an introvert. So
for sure.
How does an introvert, right, do 700 plus interviews? Maybe we have an introvert listening and they're like, man, I want to build a business and I love what Sam is saying about building a team and doing all this cool stuff so I can grow. How do you manage that as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a CEO, where you constantly have to be talking to people, you have to be putting deals together. You have no choice. I know, because I'm a CEO, I'm a leader as well. We have no choice. We got to be in the forefront we are the face and the forefront of our business.
It's a discipline. I mean, that's just it. And just to clarify, introvert doesn't mean I'm socially awkward, which I probably am. But it just, like you said it, Martin, you said it drains energy. So on podcast day, if I'll do 8-10 podcasts back to back, man, I take a big old nap. I have to. Like, I just sit down, I am mentally spent, emotionally spent. It's like I can't get up and do anything else until I get a nap. And I do nap every single day. That's one way. I take a 20-minute nap on a religious basis. I take a nap so regularly that I can recall the last time I didn't take one. So it was like 4 months ago, and I hated that day because I just couldn't break free. And it was like, oh man, it was the longest day of my life. So I take about a 20-minute nap every single day, and that really helps me just kind of get up and go back to it. I think also, but it is a discipline. I think that's just part of it. It's just saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. Like, if you're getting started and you're trying to go to meetups and you're like, gosh, I hate doing this. I mean, I don't go out on nights and weekends. It's just not my game. Like, I'd much rather sit at home with my wife or the kids, be with the family than go out in the town. But that being said, if it's tough for you to get out, you just got to force yourself to do it. It's a muscle. And the more you use it, the easier it becomes. It doesn't mean you aren't exhausted into the night, but it does become easier for you just to go out and say, hey, I'm going to engage. And also, you walk into a room, especially early on, like say you walk into a real estate meetup or something like that, keep in mind that everyone else there is probably as uncomfortable as you are. And so the first thing you can do is just shake the hand of the person closest to you, introduce yourself, and start talking to them. Just force yourself to do it. And I have to do that when I go to conferences and things like that, because you can walk in and there's 1,000 and be like, oh, this is awkward. Like, no, hey man, what's up, Martin? Hey, oh, cool. You see your name badge on. My name's Sam. What are you up to, man? Like, okay, what are you gonna do? Where do you live? Just start asking people genuine questions. I think that's another thing you can do is really, really get other people to talk about themselves. So I spend a lot of time trying to do that, is get other people to talk to me about themselves, which is far more comfortable for me than me talking to them about me. So that also is one of my tricks. Just always turn the conversation back to them, and I think that's that for me has worked out really well. So hopefully
that's a really good trick. That's a really good trick, because once you get people talking about themselves, they like you, right? People like to talk about themselves, so you build that instant connection. So that's a really, really good strategy. What do you think, and what do you see the market is headed to, and what's your opinion for someone in this market wanting to get started and come in the game?
Find an asset class that can be recession resistant. Everything is going to experience some sort of pain. So, find the one that fits your appetite and risk tolerance, and structure it really well. One of the things, that we're seeing right now as interest rates rise, and I think they're going to continue to rise because inflation is still, despite what they say, it's running wide open. I don't know. I went to the grocery store the other day and I was buying a dozen eggs. And these weren't the free range, we pet our chickens every day and hand feed them and, call them by their name. Yeah, man, it wasn't the fancy people eggs. Like, cause I'll tell you what, I buy the old bleached white eggs that, are normally like $1.99 a dozen. Those were $5 a dozen. I was like, oh, holy smoke. Like the cheap eggs are $5, and then the bougie eggs were like $8 a dozen. I'm like, oh my, this is at the regular old, local grocery store. I think it's running wide open. So you got to find an asset class that kind of, fits your risk tolerance. And also you got to find something, structure your debt properly. And that's the other thing, is like looking at short-term Short-term debt, I think, can really, really crush you. And I've heard this over and over on the show with people and friends in the business who've made some less than stellar debt decisions, and now they're just getting hammered on it. Great assets, but their interest rate reserves are they were $1,000 a month before. Now they're $20,000 a month. And on like a 50 unit property, a $20,000 a month interest rate reserve, that's unworkable. Like you're now in the red every single month on what used to be a very profitable property. So structuring your debt properly, I think, is another thing. Long-term fixed interest rate debt. On commercial, it's a little tougher just because you may run the risk of prepayment penalties and things like that if you exit early. But to be honest with you, if it's a 5-year penalty, I don't think you're going to be getting out of it for the same rates that you were in 2021. I mean, valuations were through the roof in 21. The likelihood that you're going to even run into that, oh, wait, we got to sell early because we're going to make so much money on it, is going to get a lot lower. So buy stuff that makes money today. Like I just bought an RV park this week. Going in with no changes to the park, it's a 15 cap. Okay, I'm good with that.
Very nice, brother. That's freaking amazing.
I'm good with that. And that leaves us an incredible amount of padding. Yes, our debt sucks. I'll be honest. The debt's like 7.5% for 10 years. But what's our spread on that? 7.5%. Yeah. I mean, that's a heck of a spread. So, those are the types of things that I want to look at right now. And then look at, things you don't want to be exposed, in my opinion. Again, this is my strategy. So I don't want to be exposed to long-term leases either, where it's like, I want to be able to reset those. And that's why I love the RV resort business, because every 30 days I can, eggs are now $10 a dozen, and your rent the nightly rate that was 30, it's now 60, whatever. I mean, we can keep up with inflation on a pretty easy, as long as the customer in the end, can afford it. But, those are some of the things I think about.
I'm going to rapid fire a few questions for you, and I just want you to fill in the blanks for us. Okay, you ready?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. I want to learn how to
speak Spanish.
Real estate is
awesome.
I always wanted to travel to.
Oh, well, that's a good one, man. I've done a lot of traveling, and I've been privileged to say that. But where do I always want to travel to? Cyprus.
I always have my blank with me.
Can I say this on the podcast?
Yeah, whatever you want.
My 6 Sauer 9mm.
There you go. Money is
a tool.
Family or business?
Family.
Pizza or pasta?
Giordano's Pizza out of Chicago all day.
Nice. Haven't had that one. I'll make sure when I visit Chicago, I'll go there. Wine or beer?
Beer.
Words or action?
Action.
Passion or stability?
Stability.
And lastly, angry client or angry coworker?
Coworker.
Amazing, brother. Thank you for being such a great I really appreciate you. Again, thank you, Sam. If the audience or one of the listeners wanted to connect with you, where can they find you? How can they connect with you? Where should they go and learn more about you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I would go to brickeninvestmentgroup.com. That's BRICKEN investmentgroup.com. And there's lots to learn on there. Podcast is on there as well. Join our mailing list. Join our Brick and Investor Club. That's how you hear about deals. That's how you hear about opportunities. Every Friday, I send out a newsletter to the Brick and Investor Club, just kind of letting them know what we're seeing in the marketplace and what we're doing. And we've got a lot of opportunity in front of us, which is a great place to be. And that's the only place you'll hear about it. So again, brickeninvestmentgroup.com.
Guys, make sure you check him out on brickeninvestmentgroup.com. As you heard, this is a seasoned, a real experienced investor. Make sure you go check out his podcast too, brickeninvestmentgroup.com. Check it out. Check out his deals. I mean, he's doing a lot of neat stuff, RV parks, a lot of really cool stuff. And make sure you go and check him out. Thank you guys for listening. Sam, my friend, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you, brother. Look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you, Martin. Certainly appreciate it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video to the very end. If you want to continue to watch videos like this one, click this video right here. I think you would enjoy that. And if you want to continue to learn from me and learn how to create wealth through real estate investing, check out my online course. It's in the links below. It's how to get your first off-market deal in under 60 days or less. Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate you guys. Peace out.